If you are the driver, what would you do? Brake, change lanes, or close your eyes and rely entirely on luck? The end-to-end full-scenario autonomous VAV driver can handle it with ease, making it unbeatable among peers, strong enough to brake hard from 200 km/h to 0 with great shoulder protection and stopping power. Full vehicle damage at 708 years old. If using Highway Intelligent Assisted Driving, it's safe enough even in extreme scenarios. What is Highway Intelligent Assisted Driving? Simply put, under map navigation guidance, the vehicle can automatically follow, accelerate, decelerate, overtake, enter and exit lanes, avoid obstacles in complex road conditions, and more. This year, we spent a small budget to reserve an entire highway to recreate real highway accident scenes for everyone. Pacific Auto only drives on the De Hengping Highway NOA test, starting now. 7 days, 50 people on-site day and night, OVA collision with millions in vehicle damage. Recognized by the Ministry of Transport as a national-level autonomous driving closed test base, nearly 30 km of real highway, the longest closed highway test site in China. Pacific Auto Highway NVA big horizontal screen starts now. All test vehicles are OTA updated to the latest full system version on the test day. The model everyone wants to see most is welcome to be typed on the public screen. Follow the whole process. Testing is not easy. Thanks to everyone for clicking like and subscribe. There's construction vehicles changing lanes, braking or closing eyes and relying on luck. At 120 km/h on the highway, encountering construction, side testing and interference vehicles starting now. The construction detour simulates a scene where a left overtaking lane on the highway is temporarily closed due to construction, leaving only the right driving lane. To restore the most urgent and dangerous scenario as much as possible, we also arranged vehicles in the side lane to simulate B-type delivery vehicles. If you've encountered such a scene on the highway, press 1 on the screen and think about how you handled it at that time. For assisted driving, it's not only about recognizing a bunch of obstacles and their occupied space ahead, but also requires the correct avoidance strategy and rapid response. Can they do it? The answer is that on a bright sunny day you can still hear. The results show a very obvious polarization. There are safe handling types and dangerous thrill-seeking types. In this scenario, half of the drivers cannot pass safely. If it were a real accident, minor injuries are lucky, severe ones. Li Xiang i8, NIO EASE 8, Tesla Model 3, Xiaomi Y7, Geek 9X and WY Lanshan all failed to pass safely for almost the same reason. There is some deceleration before the construction zone, but when facing social vehicles passing the same construction area, the system chooses to tough it out by cutting in hard. The following vehicle has no doubt that such assisted driving operation will cause a serious collision with the rear car. So we have to intervene urgently with braking and steering. Is the common sense of brake instead of yielding completely absent? Lido R290 gave an early warning and slowed down near the construction zone. The single-tire network system reminded the driver to exit assisted driving. Then without hesitation, the assisted driving state crashed into the construction zone. We took over near the danger and required exit from assisted driving, leaving the driver confused. Is this correct? Ningpao 410 was even more humorous. It recognized and slowed down, forced the right-side tail vehicle, then initiated a lane change to detour. Just about to succeed in passing, the system canceled the lane change, turned the wheel back and directly crashed into the accident zone. Because this result is both abstract and controversial, we still had some hope when retesting. The result, it crashed even worse. After talking about the dangerous thrill-seekers, let's talk about the successful B-grade passers. Momenta's Buick L7 plan recognized and slowed down before the construction zone. After the first interfering vehicle passed, the system initiated a lane change plan but immediately corrected the steering. Here we can see a clear wobble, judging it also wanted to cut in behind the car, but the system judged it risky and quickly pulled back. Finally, it continuously slowed down to below 30 km/h, and after 2 interfering vehicles on the right passed, the vehicle detoured through. Objectively speaking, the handling was still not good enough. Hesitation and wobbling can cause panic for passengers inside. ATS4's when GM8 was able to recognize the construction zone early, slow down and flash hazard lights. Looking at the SR plan, it was also looking for lane change opportunities. A better point was it didn't probe but continued to slow down and wait for the 2 interfering vehicles on the right to pass. It autonomously detoured through the construction zone. The other 3 Huawei partnered male guests Zhijian R7, Optanio and Lantajian all had the same handling strategy. Early recognition, early speed reduction and no risky probing lane changes while waiting for opportunities. This brought little pressure to passengers or interfering vehicles. We believe this handling strategy is correct, mature and reassuring. For players who didn't pass, whether the system pursues passage efficiency too aggressively, lacks defensive driving strategies, or the model itself has seen judgment issues, we don't know. But for high-risk scenarios, if the model can't handle it yet, please add fallback safety rules instead of reckless actions that ultimately pay the price with safety. For drivers in front of the screen, please keep attention to road conditions. The front vehicle cutting in to encounter a broken car simulates a highway scene where a front vehicle suddenly changes lanes and an obstacle appears ahead. On the highway, due to limited viewpoints, drivers usually cannot observe obstacles beyond the front vehicle. In emergencies, they can only judge and react based on the front vehicle's actions, causing a time lag. Note that a vehicle at 120 km/h travels 33.3 meters per second. After driving for more than 2 hours, fatigue appears and reactions slow down, meaning risks increase. People get tired, but machines do not. Can current-assisted driving respond quickly and help us avoid this crash? Let's find out. The fixed distance of 65 meters from vehicle A is set as the front vehicle's cutout point. Why 65 meters? The stopping distance of an average family car at 120 km/h is about 50 meters, plus a 0.5-second response time. Also, to restore the most urgent and dangerous scenario, we arranged vehicles simulating parallel retreat vehicles in the side lane. The test results are quite satisfying. Most automakers can successfully achieve a B-grade pass. Among them, the better-handled vehicles can detour, especially only 2 players caused real damage to the fake car. Xiaomi expected that at 120 km/h, the front vehicle cutting in with an obstacle close ahead gives a strong pressure feeling. The system recognized and responded, warning sounds rang and synchronized deceleration continued. The system planned a lane change to the right. Upon noticing interfering vehicles on the right with no lane change conditions and the obstacle ahead close, it triggered full OB braking to stop. OMV exited and finally succeeded in forcing the cut-in. NIO EASE 8, Geek 9X, WEY Lanshan and Lido L90 all detected obstacles and triggered AV full braking to stop and avoid collision. Among them, NIO EASE 8 did better by triggering automatic seatback adjustment during emergency braking to reduce collision injury and restoring after stopping, due to a hard ladder shape. But this feature was not given to Lido. Let's just say it wasn't paid for, right? They share a common point. After triggering OB braking, the NOE state didn't exit. Geek 9X's braking force was strong and linear, giving the driver confidence. WY Lanshan's braking point was the latest among vehicles, stopping less than a meter from the obstacle. It was indeed thrilling and at the limit but no collision. After the front vehicle cut out at 1828, it identified obstacles and slowed down but sharply decelerated unlike previous vehicles until triggering OB. It felt like it was slowing down while waiting for the nearby obstacle to clear by lane changing. After the right side vehicle passed, it autonomously detoured and reaccelerated. Buick's Sword L7 is similar to Li Xiong i8 but decelerates earlier. One detail is that when seeing a vehicle signaling right ahead, Sword L7 slowed noticeably. We speculate this may be due to similar scenes in the model training set and the model understanding it. However, deceleration near obstacles is more abrupt than i8. Eventually detouring around the right obstacle and resuming NVA state with autonomous detour and acceleration. The 4 Huawei partnered male guests still performed steadily, autonomously detouring in assisted driving state. After the faulty vehicle left, they decelerated, braked, flashed hazard lights near the faulty vehicle, signaled right after 2 social vehicles passed, then changed lanes to detour and accelerated away. The deceleration and lane change handling felt smooth and more natural compared to earlier generations. The 2 who failed again are Ningpo 410 and Tesla Model 3, both quite humorous, either head-on critical hits or leaving the driver totally confused. Ningpo 410 hesitated after the front vehicle cut in, started braking about 2 seconds later with very insufficient brake force, ultimately completely unable to stop, causing a critical hit with fragments flying everywhere. The worst part was near the fake car, only voice reminders but no OB triggered, resulting in a collision. The voice alert was not even finished. Recognition and braking were late and insufficient. The collision speed was 84 km/h, which is still very dangerous. Please do not imitate such speeds. Tesla Model 3 had the same problem. After the front vehicle cut in and faced an obstacle, it tried to detour but its strategy was too aggressive. At 80-90 km/h, it suddenly veered out to cut in front of the right interfering vehicle. The distance between the 2 vehicles was too close and at high speed, leaving no space for merging. Forced cut-in carries huge collision risk. We had to slow down, turn the wheel back, take over, and save the car. The front vehicle cut-in scenario. As long as the cut-in point is more than 65 meters from the obstacle and the assisted driving system works properly, the rear vehicle has a full chance to avoid collision. Why 65 meters? As mentioned, the stopping distance of a family car at 120 km/h is about 50 meters plus 0.5 seconds response time. The current smart vehicle perception hardware's observation distance is definitely not a problem, as every launch event boasts longer ranges and 200 meters is common. But on the algorithm and strategy side, for those who didn't pass, software should improve strategies for safer and faster response, higher braking sensitivity. Sometimes saving lives is about these details. Okay. Sudden aggressive cut-in on the highway. A car suddenly cuts in front without signaling or braking. Can this sensor-packed autonomous car prevent brutal cut-ins that harm both others and itself? The highway violent cut-in simulates scenarios where a vehicle is cut off or intentionally cuts in at high speed. Because of high relative speed and limited evasive space, these are common accident scenes. First, a small survey. If you have been cut off by a front vehicle on the highway, press 1 on the screen. The target vehicle A used in this test meets ISO 19263 NCAP and CNCAP 2021 GVT requirements, with radar reflection characteristics similar to M1 passenger cars, replacing M1 vehicles for OB and FCW front collision warning function tests. The results show most players successfully forced cut-in and avoided collision, but 2 still failed. Let's look at positive cases. What is a successful avoidance strategy? The 4 Huawei partnered male guests, Wu Jai M8 Jijia R7 of Tommy 6. One difficulty is straightening the body when turning. When seeing a vehicle on the right lane moving inward, the system starts slow deceleration defensively. When the obstacle vehicle invades our lane, full braking is applied. Strong deceleration and flashing hazard lights warn the rear vehicle to force the cut-in successfully. The detail is that no sudden braking is done to avoid rear-end collisions. Before deceleration, L7, Xiaomi expected, future Ease 8 and Huawei Lanshan used similar strategies, early defensive deceleration then full braking when the obstacle clearly invades. These also rely on assisted driving to decelerate and force the cut-in without triggering fallback AEB, so the experience isn't too unpleasant. Vehicles in adjacent lanes with slower speed are observed. When speed difference is large, the system actively slows down for defense, consistent with human driver habits and intentions. Jike 9X, Li Xiang i8 and Lido L90 also avoided collisions but with no obvious defensive deceleration strategy, meaning braking only when close comes as a surprise. Jike 9X decelerates from 120 km/h with noticeably good braking, short distance and composed posture, no OB triggered. I8 and L90 when the front vehicle invades, brake fully triggering OB though they are close to the obstacle but no collision. What about the ones that crashed? Still those 2 Linpao and Tesla. Reasons, either can't brake or brake too late. Linpao 410 had a vehicle stopped closely ahead at 120 km/h. We thought it was confident in its brakes but no surprise it hit hard causing severe damage. Although safety warnings were given, the collision happened mid-warning. Tesla was confident too and had defensive deceleration from 120 to 110 km/h but braked fully too late, almost tailgating, unable to stop, finally hitting vehicle A at 53 km/h. Vehicles that pass these scenes either have defensive deceleration strategies or decisive and strong braking. The latter is not recommended. We hope assisted driving can behave like experienced drivers, no risks, predict in advance, decelerate early and have reasonable safe avoidance strategies. A pitch-dark highway with frequent accidents and flashy PPTs. What about real tests? Can you guess which assisted driving system passes or crashes in this scenario? Nighttime rollover simulates a violent highway crash at night. The rollover changes the perception characteristics, causing label failure. Machines may see it as an unknown obstacle and choose to ignore it. Also, the dark lighting blocks part of the road, reducing passing space. Most new energy vehicles are nearly 2 meters wide, so mechanical judgment of passing space is a big challenge in planning. After increasing intensity, many vehicles had problems and could not force the cut-in. In real night scenes, it's unimaginable. Lido L90, Linpao 310, Huawei Lanshan, Xiaomi 17 and Mixian R8 all failed, with considerable vehicle damage. Lido L90 lacking LiDAR and using a vision-based main solution, had no warning or response at 120 km/h to the front side-rolled vehicle, and no obstacle modeling on SR. We only took over braking near the accident. Clearly, perception missed the obstacle. Limpao 310, trailing in all previous projects, showed no miracle this time, no reaction, crashing directly. Those with LiDAR scanned the obstacle but not the part invading the left lane. 1028 recognized, warned, slowed down and alerted the driver to brake, but too late. After warning, no AV strong braking triggered, finally crashing into the vehicle head at 69 km/h. Xiaomi expected's obstacle recognition was obviously late. It braked only after the obstacle was near, then crashed at 94 km/h. Xiaomi's Central Control SR modeled vehicle A correctly and marked its position in red, so it braked hard but barely avoided collision. It speculated the system's recognition execution was insufficient. Huawei Lanshan recognized, warned, slowed down, and correctly modeled the side-rolled vehicle space on SR. But the braking point was too late, only decelerating obviously when close, finally crashing at 79 km/h. We guess the system initially planned to detour with a trajectory extended leftward but misjudged passing space and still collided. NIO's 8 successfully avoided collision but was still thrilling. Speed was over 100 km/h at less than 100 meters from the obstacle. It slowed near the obstacle, then braked harder but did not trigger stopping a few centimeters from the obstacle. Jike 9X and Buick Sword L7 performed similarly, both passing successfully by detouring but causing high psychological pressure to passengers. Both vehicles detoured obstacles at high speed, Jike 9X at 110 km/h and Buick Sword L7 almost without deceleration at 119 km/h, passing only 10 cm from the obstacle. Do you think they should be judged as passing? Tesla's performance was somewhat surprising, the dark horse in this scene. Early recognition and warning, then linear deceleration and trajectory adjustment, slowing to about 50 km/h, successfully detouring the obstacle smoothly without hesitation. The 4 Chinese brand brothers also passed but with slightly different performance. WGN8 warned of poor visibility at a distance, then automatically slowed to 100 km/h. Upon encountering the overturned vehicle, it smoothly slowed and stopped, hesitated and inched forward as if judging and thinking about the scene, then autonomously detoured around the obstacle. Jike Lantu and Avida performed similarly, recognizing obstacles from afar, slowing down, then linearly braking, flashing hazard lights and planning detours. Jike detoured at about 40 km/h, Lantu and Avida were faster at about 60 km/h with smooth maneuvers. They paused briefly to think, possibly due to their larger size and caution under low light conditions and narrow passing space. With current perception hardware, darkness is not an excuse for poor safety. Even vision-based solutions are not. The real test is perception distance, accuracy, stability, mechanical judgment of passing space, reasonable planning and safety strategies. These are the true ability tests. We hope manufacturers optimize quickly. Time is limited and danger won't wait. Nighttime highway construction detours never signal fast as it may cause flipping out the window. Be steady, slow and reassuring. Can these cooling vehicles recognize and safely bring us home? Let's start testing. Unlike conventional single-lane detour scenes, this time we simulated the most dangerous scenario, closing the original lane and diverting to an adjacent lane at high speed with poor visibility and sharp turns where navigation maps conflict. This is why frequent accidents occur in such scenes. Therefore, passing safely tests the model's scene recognition, understanding, correct passing space judgment and reasonable path planning. The results show there are close your eyes and rely on luck crash types, confused types and smooth passing super strong types. One test fully exposes capabilities. WI Lanshan only gave warnings and slowed after entering the construction zone, but too late. Notice the trajectory line does not point to the correct exit but crosses through construction barriers extending toward the original road. It clearly misunderstood the scene. The trajectory planning is wrong. It crashed at 90 km/h into barrels and signs. On a long holiday, damage would be considerable. Lido L90 gave clear warning and stronger braking than Lanshan but had the same problem, wrong direction. The trajectory line was stable but pointed toward inevitable damage direction. Although slowed, it was too late, crashing at 60 km/h into construction barrels. Watch Ningpao 410 for yourself. Ningpao 410 could not enable navigation. Retesting showed only LCC active. At this point we no longer expect it to pass the construction zone. Decelerating and B-grade pass is acceptable but no more. In LCC state it warned and slowed entering the construction zone but braking was late and weak, causing the initial scene. Then came the B-grade and active passers, Lido and others. Let's see how Big Brother EASE-8 performs. Before entering construction, EASE-8 recognized and started gradual deceleration. After entering the system, increased braking force stopped just before the sharp turn. Although it didn't pass directly, its B-grade strategy was correct. Notice the trajectory line pointed to the correct exit. Does this mean it understood? The vehicle waited, then after 20 seconds it accelerated, but the trajectory line began to swing wildly, and it rammed into construction barrels without looking back. Huawei's four brothers showed some differences. GGR7, Lantu and Avita 6 all slowed gradually upon entering construction. The deceleration process was relatively calm, and SR showed lane change planning to the right, which was obviously wrong. Until the vehicle stopped before the corner and realized the original plan was impassable, it restarted and passed by detouring. This process was like automatic braking, thinking for a few seconds, then finding a new route. M8 also briefly planned a right lane change upon entering construction but stopped quickly before the corner to replan. The thinking time was short. It stopped then restarted quickly, making its response seem faster than the three above. Jokingly, is M8 the strongest Huawei? M8 used to have longer hesitations before braking and replanning, but now is faster. It slowed gradually entering construction, stopped at the corner, then slowly moved forward. The EID's plan was to change to the right lane. After realizing lane change was impossible, it just inched forward slowly. Finally, VLA hesitated repeatedly, analyzed, and decided to pass forward. Compared to these, Geek 9X was straightforward and decisive, seemingly ignoring everything, slowing only after entering construction at 120 km/h, reducing to 30 km/h at the corner. The braking was really good and the trajectory planning was correct, with the trajectory line directly pointing to the correct exit. The ridiculous part, after automatic downgrade to LCC, it drove a bit, then automatically recovered navigation mode at the exit. This happened to L7 and Tesla Model 3, which are considered non-standard vehicles. L7 entered construction at 100 km/h, with steady trajectory and continuous deceleration, no direction issues, trajectory line stable, finally slowing to 50 km/h and passing construction. Tesla Model 3 was even more aggressive, entering at 110 km/h with stable trajectory, found the exit. Although slowed and warned, Tesla maintained high speed and passed construction at bus speed. We can only say, Goner's perception is strong, speed control strong, path planning strong, but strategy too aggressive. Even professionals fear it. Xiaomi expected was the most contrasting vehicle in this scene. It recognized, warned, and started slowing upon entering construction. The direction and trajectory lines were correct, slowing smoothly through the corner to the exit. Looks perfect, right? But in the retest before, it performed like this. Entering construction, the system warned but kept accelerating. The trajectory line went directly through construction barrels toward the original road. It seemed the side lane was untouchable. This clearly misunderstood the scene, did not judge passing space correctly. The result was following the line blindly, triggering OB but not stopping, so it failed. Both success and failure were very typical and happened within 10 minutes. All vehicles performed similarly in the first and retest, but Xiaomi expected showed clear differences. How should we judge the result? Yo-Yo Television Series exclusive. So is highway-assisted driving safe enough? Choosing a strong solution and using it correctly can help us cope with dangerous accident scenarios and improve safety. In pitch-black night, highline radar and cameras can see farther than human eyes, giving early warnings and avoiding collisions. After 2 hours of long drives, fatigue slows human reactions, but machines don't. But understand, at the current stage, no matter how good the model is, it cannot achieve 100% accuracy. Life is only once and models cannot be responsible for it, but each of us should be responsible for our own lives. From our tests, you may have noticed that often machines can help us brake to avoid collisions in complex scenarios, but sometimes they cannot decide to pass independently and need human help. This is the current limitation of assisted driving. It reduces risk but does not eliminate it. Therefore, we should use assisted driving wisely to free mental energy and improve safety, not blindly trust it and entrust our lives to machines. Maybe years later, with sound regulations, easy hardware, and automakers backing autonomous driving, will have accident rates far lower than humans. But at this stage, we hope all manufacturers can make their hyped safety PPTs truly practical and reliable, because users spend years savings to choose and trust without reservation. We also hope for technological equality. Excellent safety capabilities should not be elitist, but become a standard feature for every Chinese family. Because no matter who you are, every departure surely has family waiting for your safe return.